Greetings and beyond the new, ladies and gentlemen. My name's Dermy Wormy, and I'm back with yet another video. And when it comes to Star Wars, this was a franchise that at one point in time captures the hearts and minds of so many people throughout so many different generations. This was a franchise that gave us heroes like Luke Skywalker, Obi-Wan Kenobi, Yoda, and in some circles, even Darth Vader. At one point in time, this was a billion-dollar franchise, destined for great things. But then the dark times came after 2012, when George Lucas famously sold off Star Wars to the House of Mouse. And since then, we have seen nothing more than declining viewership, flop after flop, disaster all around, and turning at one point in time an extremely profitable boys brand in the form of Star Wars into nothing more than, well, another Disney princess brand.
Who are you, Ray Skywalker?
That's it! Killing you both!
And this was all thanks to current Lucasfilm president Kathleen Kennedy, otherwise known as the Wicked Witch of the West. But in recent years, we've been having myriad discussions as to whether or not Kathleen Kennedy would be retiring. Now, these discussions have been going on for well over several years at this point in time. Heck, it's even becoming a meme now. But after the reports from this past February from Puck Noobs, things actually were a little bit different than some of the past rumors that were going around. This time, we were seeing Hollywood rag sites such as The Hollywood Reporter, Deadline, and several of these other mouthpieces for Hollywood itself come out here and actually entertaining the idea and giving it more legitimacy than it ever has before. Now, yes, shortly thereafter, Kathleen Kennedy did do an interview with Deadline saying that she wasn't planning on retiring anytime soon. But if you actually ended up looking deeper into her overall words, you actually ended up seeing that she was talking about she will never retire from making movies and she was going to die making movies. She actually conceded the notion that she was eventually going to be retiring from Lucasfilm, because the reality is clock's a ticking, we all age, and she's not going to be there forever. It's physically impossible unless they decide to cryo freeze her. But shortly thereafter, it kind of went to the wayside. A lot of people quit talking about it yet again. People really weren't speculating because they knew it was just a matter of time. Hollywood's even signaling that they're ready for Kathleen Kennedy to step down. And now, after a recent Hollywood Reporter article titled "Inside Hollywood's Secession Wars," we actually have some interesting developments going around when it comes to Kathleen Kennedy potentially retiring from her current position as Lucasfilm president. Now, this article doesn't really cite any actual sources, but just goes on with some Hollywood discussion that's taking place behind the scenes right now. And you read this: despite speculation about outside candidates, including former 20th Century head Emma Watts, insiders say the company seems most likely to promote from within. The current thinking is a scenario where Chief Creative Officer Dave Filoni and production head Carrie Beck, both Lucasfilm vets, take co-head roles. Even as an arm of Disney, Lucasfilm remains in many ways a family business. And as a George Lucas prodigy, Filoni long has been considered a golden boy. But the knock against him is that he might be too steeped in Star Wars lore and risk steering a show into dense mythology that loses a broader audience. He's not the Andor guy, he's the Ahsoka guy, says one Disney insider. Beck, who joined the company in 2012, knows the ins and outs, but neither she nor Filoni has much film experience, which could be mitigated by Kennedy's continued presence as a producer on certain Star Wars projects, ensuring quality control in the short term.
God, it's like you just use words you hear randomly to try and sound smarter.
Now, I know a lot of people ended up tuning out from all this, but let me break this down for you. Currently, there are discussions abound that Dave Filoni and Carrie Beck, both of which are executive producers over at Lucasfilm right now, potentially will be taking over for Kathleen Kennedy. Now, the idea that Dave Filoni would be taking over for Kathleen Kennedy has been around for a long period of time, and honestly, it's one of the most logical conclusions to come out from this. Dave Filoni, for some odd reason, is still seen very positively by most audiences and by fans alike, primarily because of his work on things like Star Wars: The Clone Wars, which even I have to say that I still very much enjoy. But when it comes to Carrie Beck, she's honestly an unknown quantity for the vast majority of audiences, and they're just gonna roll their eyes and move on. But let's really break this down, shall we? neither one of these people are truly qualified to even save Lucasfilm or even bring it back to its once former glory. Let's be real honest here, ladies and gentlemen. Dave Filoni is a kook that has single-handedly assisted in the destruction and devastation that we are currently seeing right now with Star Wars. And if you want any evidence to support that notion, all you have to do is realize that Dave Filoni has been the chief creative officer at Lucasfilm since 2020. That means every show since 2020 has been looked over by Dave Filoni to make sure it's lore accurate. That means shows such as The Book of Boba Fett, Obi-Wan, Ahsoka, and even The Acolyte have all been looked over Dave Filoni and given his big old thumbs up and to say that they are good shows that need to be put out there for the world to see.
I am shocked. Shocked. Well, not that shocked.
Simultaneously, when you take a look at Carrie Beck's filmography, it's the exact same thing as Dave Filoni. You get things like Skeleton Crew, The Bad Batch, Ahsoka, The Mandalorian, Book of Boba Fett, so many shows that audiences have rejected hands down, and both these people have worked on these shows. It's even worse in Dave Filoni's case, considering, again, he's their chief creative officer. So the whole idea that even if Dave Filoni somehow replaces Kathleen Kennedy over at Lucasfilm, that this would be some great win and Star Wars would end up being saved is honestly laughable, to say the least. He has been assisting with everything we've been seeing right now. And Carrie Beck, again, vast majority of audiences aren't gonna know who she is. Heck, even I had to do research into her to figure her out, and all I saw was red flag after red flag after red flag. And even when you come back over to this article in which they're trying to say because Filoni is some sort of George Lucas protege, that he's steeped in Star Wars lore and might take it down these dense mythology paths, we've been seeing what he knows about Star Wars lore thus far, and it's pretty evident that he knows nothing about it and constantly changes and retcons shit just to suit whatever current need he has. But ultimately, even if this whole notion that Dave Filoni and Carrie Beck are going to take over for Kathleen Kennedy in the near future, that's not going to change anything. In fact, that's just going to make things a little bit worse, because that doesn't change the fact that Lucasfilm is steeped in this hyper-progressive ideology all the way through to writers. We have people like Pablo Hidalgo out there who has no problem antagonizing the largest Star Wars fan on YouTube. The sickness is baked in over at Lucasfilm, and it's so evident throughout any product that they actually put out there. Yes, there's a bunch of individuals that love Tony Gilroy's Andor series, but that's truly nothing more than a blip in the grand history of Lucasfilm now, because we're on the fast track to Ahsoka season 2, the Mandalorian and Grogu movie, Star Wars Starfighter, so many other projects that we're already well aware is just going to be more of the same slop we've been receiving. Change up Kathleen Kennedy all you want to Dave Filoni, it's not going to change a gosh darn thing. But I'm going to leave it there, guys. Let me get your guys' thoughts on all this down in the comments below. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up, share it out, friends, hit that subscribe button, hit that notification bell for every time I put on a new video and go live, guys. And I'll see you on the next one. Bye for now.